Today, he'll be sharing the keys to excelling under pressure in business. Welcome, Stan Phelps.
Thank you. Diamond Goldfish addresses two of the biggest challenges we have in business. The first one is a growth challenge. We spend a lot of time to get opportunities come through the door, but it turns out we only close 1 out of every 4 opportunities we're presented with. That's only 1 out of 4. Same thing when it applies to the customers we already have. We also have a retention challenge. And that same ratio applies. Each year, we're losing 1 out of every 4 customers that we serve. If these stats don't scare you, I think we need to see and we need to act differently. And that's at the core of the Diamond Goldfish. Now, I want to tell you a story about seeing things and acting a little bit differently. I'm going to take you back 40 years ago and tell you the story of this gentleman right here. In 1983, he quit school at the age of 15 in the 10th grade and decided to play tennis professionally. Now, was that a good move for Boris Becker? Yeah, it was, because just 2 years later, he would go to Wimbledon, unseeded, become the youngest man to ever win a Grand Slam, with a serve the likes of which the game had never seen before. 1 year after his Wimbledon triumph, there was another 10th grader who decided to quit school. You might recognize him here, second from the left, Andre Agassi. Now, was that a good move for Andre? Yeah, because within 18 months, the Las Vegas native with a rock star hairstyle and a fashion sense that changed the game, he would vault himself all the way to the top 10. And in his first 2 years on the tour, Agassi would face Becker 3 times. And each time, he never even won a set, Becker with his serve would just wipe him off the court. In fact, the last time was at the year-ending Masters in Madison Square Garden. And Becker beat Agassi 6-3, 6-1. Demolished him. And as the season ended, Agassi said to himself, I've got to figure out how I can maybe see things and act a little differently. And he started to watch tape of Becker. And specifically, he focused on Becker's signature serve. And he noticed a small little thing. Right before Becker was about to toss the ball, he would do something interesting with his tongue. And if he was serving the ball right down the middle, his tongue would be right in the middle of his mouth. If he was serving the ball wide, his tongue would be on the left corner of his mouth. Now, armed with this small little bit of insight, Agassi would face Becker just 4 months later in Indian Wells in the semifinals, the 5th biggest tournament in the world. And armed with this insight, he would beat Becker in straight sets, 6-4, 6-1. And over the course of his career, Agassi would face Becker another 10 times. And he would win 9 of those 10 matches. Based on that little insight of seeing things a little differently, Agassi said he could react sooner, especially in the pressure-filled moments of a match. And as we heard earlier, what's a diamond? It's when we can really excel under pressure. Started out as a piece of coal. And this story really is emblematic of acting in accordance with what I call the diamond rule. And the diamond rule, I believe, is the 4.0 version of winning in business. Now, if it's the 4.0, that means there's a 1.0, a 2.0, and a 3.0. So let's go all the way back to the time of Confucius for the silver rule, the 1.0. And the silver rule was pretty simple. It basically said if you don't want other people to do bad stuff to you, you shouldn't do bad stuff to other people. And if you boil it down, it's just 3 words. Do no harm. Which you think is pretty basic, but if you become a medical doctor and you take the Hippocratic Oath, what do you have to say? Do no harm. In fact, the most famous company of maybe the last 25 years use this as their corporate slogan. Don't be evil, Google. The problem with the silver rule, though, it only tells you what not to do. It's not really prescriptive. And so we have to go to the 2.0, the golden rule. And throughout every culture and every religion, they have their version of the golden rule. And it's simply what? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you, right? Now, that seems pretty reasonable, especially maybe when you're raising kids. But here's the thing in business, this is an awful rule. Because it's based on assumption, right? That what you would want is exactly with what your customer or member or prospect would want. And if you treat them that way, that they're going to act the same way you would. And we live in a world where there are 4 predominant behavioral styles. And here's the thing, unless we're the same style, we're not going to be able to connect. We might only connect with 1 out of every 4. Now the 3.0, the platinum rule, kind of takes the golden rule a step further. And the platinum rule is more focused in empathy and focusing on the needs of the other person. And the platinum rule is simply this, treating others the way they would like to get treated. So you figure out what your customer or your prospect wants, and you totally focus 100% of your attention on them. Now that might seem like a good plan, but if you're entirely focused on the other person, who are you avoiding? You're avoiding yourself, right? And there may be situations where you're totally focused and you get thrown under pressure. So I tell people that's a good plan, but maybe the words of the greatest philosopher of our time, Mike Tyson, right? Everyone has a plan until what? Till we get punched in the mouth. Exactly. Now the 4.0 version, the diamond rule, elevates the platinum rule to the next level. It combines the best of both the gold and the platinum. And the diamond rule is this in 2 parts. First, it's managing yourself under pressure, understanding your style, which then allows you to focus and address the needs of those who you're working with. Right? It falls in between the golden rule and the platinum rule, and it first involves kind of neutralizing yourself and managing yourself, which then allows you to focus and empathize with the needs of others. This is excelling at the highest level in business. And I want to end today with just a quote. This is Viktor Frankl, Austrian neuroscientist, 3-time Holocaust survivor. And he said something so telling about pressure. He said, between stimulus and response, he said, there is a space. And he said, in that space is our power to choose how we respond. And in our choice and our response lies our growth and our freedom. Thank you.